702 if you'd like to give us a call this morning on the show. And thank you to everybody who pitched in and donated so generously to the appeal we ran last Friday across the ABC for the victims of the Nepal earthquake, of course. And that astonishing story this morning that was it a 101-year-old pulled alive out of the rubble? Just as the Nepal government said no one else will be pulled out. Well, there you go. Let's, hope the best for that person. But you can still donate, if you go to the ABC Appeals page, you'll see all of the major aid agencies, international aid agencies. Their contacts are listed there. And if you want to donate, because it is going to be a long, hard slog to get Nepal back on its feet, you can still contribute. abc.net.au/appeals, and you'll see the details there. 702 mornings, a pop-up TAFE. Pop-up coffee shops and pop-up art classes and pop-up everything these days. What about a pop-up TAFE? Well, there's one in our midst. We'll find out more in just a moment. Well, whether it's the size of the buildings, the type of trees used in the parkland, where the parkland is, or the six-star casino, controversy has always surrounded the Barangaroo project. But here's a good news story about it. There's a pop-up college there, a pop-up college. It's been there for the past 2 years on the site, quietly working away to improve workers' qualifications. Ron Wright is the manager, and he joins me now. Ron, good morning.
Good morning, Linda.
Now, tell us how this works. Where are the classrooms?
Well, the classrooms are they're on site, and they're just another sort of shed like the workers' sheds. It's not fancy. It doesn't look like a traditional TAFE college. It just looks like part of the building site.
Right. And what sort of qualifications are you offering?
We offer training and qualifications ranging from short courses, things like first aid courses and work cover, licensed training and things like that, right through to certificates and advanced diplomas.
And are there many working on site who don't have qualifications?
Most of the tradespeople obviously have qualifications, but there's a lot of the actual construction workers that have no formal qualifications. So these are guys that often have a lot of experience, but have never really sort of engaged in attending TAFE. And I've often left school early too.
And they tend to be older workers, I'd imagine. Is that right?
There's a range. There's a range, but there are sort of a number of older workers, and we're working specifically with those workers to basically convert their experience into qualifications. And there's often areas of gaps where we need to work. They often are able to do the job. They know all about building. They know all about construction, but they're often sort of a bit light on in areas like the legislation and sort of the planning processes and things like that. So we offer gap training there, and then we assess them on the job, with their competency. And when they're ready, we're able to issue them with a formal qualification.
Wow, and I guess that's one of the big discussion points in our country at the moment, isn't it? Older workers and how to get them properly trained or retrained. So presumably this helps with that.
Yes, it does. But look, it has much more far-reaching qualifications because, much more far-reaching implications because, it's all about sort of self-esteem and being able to sort of be recognised that, yes, we really are valuable and we've got a qualification to prove it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ron Wright is here, TAFE's on-site manager at Barangaroo. Yes, TAFE, I said. There's a pop-up TAFE there. So presumably this is a cooperative venture with the Barangaroo authorities?
It's actually a cooperative venture with Lend-Lease, the Construction and Property Services Industry Skills Council, TAFE, and with some funding provided through the federal government.
Right.
Yeah.
And is it the first time you've done it?
No, it's not the first time we've done it. We've worked with, just even with Lend-Lease, Western Sydney TAFE has worked with Lend-Lease before in Western Sydney with the new Rouse Hill Shopping Centre.
Right.
And that was, various other sort of developments out there. Most TAFEs are doing a lot of workplace training these days. It's not just all in the classroom. But, that experience at Rouse Hill was was happening at the time that sort of Lend-Lease was, bidding to be the developer for Barangaroo with the New South Wales government.
Right.
And so we conceptualised something that was much grander, than the Rouse Hill experience.
Right, a much bigger workforce, longer term too. I guess that's one of the advantages, isn't it? Yeah,
that's one of the things that the managing director of Barangaroo South, Andrew Wilson, always talks about, is that most construction projects, they're only a year, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years long. But sort of when you've got a project that's got, thousands and thousands of workers, goes for a decade, if you're not leaving some form of legacy other than just the bricks and mortar, you've failed in your job as a developer. And so he's been very keen to sort of have something that leaves sort of a social legacy, something that improves the skills of workers, something that changes the professionalism of the construction industry. And most importantly, everything is really driven by safety, so making a safer, more harmonious workplace.
Yeah, yeah. And what sort of pass rate do you get?
Okay, so it depends on, the various programs, but probably the most common program that we do is preparation for high-risk work cover licences. And so these are things, you need to have a licence to be able to drive, a crane or an elevated work platform or not an elevated work platform, a boom, scissor lifts, things like that, even forklifts. And the training for that's not unlike what you need to do when you get a licence to drive a car, except it's much more rigorous.
Right.
Now, the issue with that is when they come to do the theory exams, there's a lot of calculations. If you're going to be a dogman or something like that, there's a lot of calculations about what can be lifted, how many ropes you need, all of those sorts of things. And it's often those calculations where they struggle. So we have a language literacy and numeracy program. We also, allow them to work with a logbook before they sit for their licence. Some of these guys have never done an exam in their life. So we actually sort of give them some practice type things so that they get used to doing exams, not so much about the questions, but just getting used to sitting there doing an exam.
The process,
Yeah, and so we've been getting a success rate of about 92%, which compares with a statewide average for those sorts of things of about 50%.
Wow, very good. Well, it's a great effort, Ron, and I assume we'll see more of these popping up around the place with other developments. Thanks for talking to us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks, Ron. Ron Wright, TAFE's on-site manager at Barangaroo, of this pop-up TAFE, Western Sydney TAFE is behind it. 702 ABC Sydney.